Okay, here's the basic setup for the driver, just in case you need to remodel it. I got rid of this cube. We're first going to add in a torus, and I'm going to edit that torus to have 20 segments, major segments, and 10 minor segments, and that'll be the wheel. And now I'm going to add in a cylinder. That I also want to simplify, so I'll just make it 10 vertices, and I will shrink that down. So I'll press S to scale, S and Z to flatten that. And then I'm going to go into edit mode here on the cylinder, and I just want to select the sides. I'm going to go to the face select. I'm going to hold down Option, and I want the sides all the way around. I will go to Extrude Individual. Just FYI, the shortcut for that is I. So if you press I while selecting... Nope, never mind. Let me try that again. Well, I'm just gonna use the tool, and I'll extrude that, and I'll just make it go all the way in. This isn't ideal in terms of modeling. You kind of want this to connect, but for the purposes of time, we're gonna just let that go for now. And then what we want to do is I'm going to go back to object mode, and I'm going to select both parts of this. And just to make it one, I'm going to go to object, and we're looking for join. And that's going to merge those two things together. So now if I go to edit mode, they're all kind of part of the same thing. And that's just going to make it easier for us to work with. Now, while I'm in edit mode, I want to select all of the parts of this, and I'm actually going to rotate this in edit mode so that when we animate this, we can do that easily without changing any of our rotations. So again, if we do it in edit mode, then it won't change our rotations. I'm going to press R. I'm going to press Y because I want to rotate on the Y axis. And I'll press 9 and 0 on the number pad, and that will rotate that 90 degrees. And then I will left click. And when I go back to object mode, again, none of our rotations have changed. So we can animate as we need. So there's the wheel. Very quickly, I will do a simple seat for this unicycle. So I'll start with a cube, and I'll just bring that up. I'm going to scale that on the z-axis to flatten it out. We'll also scale it down just a tiny bit on all axes. And then what I'll do is I'll go to edit mode, and I want to select this front face, and I'll scale it S. And then on the x-axis, I'm going to squeeze that down a bit, just so it's a little more like a bike seat. Sort of like that. Let me do that a little more. Sorry, S and X. And that looks pretty good. I'm just going to flatten a little more on the z-axis. So S and then Z. And that's not bad. I'm going to go to edit mode. and I'm going to press 7 to look at this from the top. I do want to kind of shape this a little more. I'm going to use the knife tool, and what that's going to do is going to let me cut new sections into my object. So I'm going to do this pretty carefully. I'm going to cut across here, and you can just click and then it'll kind of find the next segment. I'm going to make sure this line is nice and straight. Now a couple things. If you press Z down at the bottom, you'll see sort of this cut through off. Let me click here first. Down here it says cut through off. If I press Z, it'll turn it on. And then when I press spacebar to make the actual cut, it should cut through the whole thing. And that didn't do it, so I'll try it again. Let me press C to make sure it's on. Spacebar. There it goes. So that cut through the whole thing. I'll do that one more time. I'm going to cut across a little behind here. Again, I'm going to make sure it's straight. Before I click on this, I'm going to press Z. Then I'll click. And again, to finalize it, press the space bar. And then you have a cut. I'll do that going up and down as well. Make sure it's straight, press C to cut through, click, and space bar. Click here, make sure it's straight, Z to cut through, click, and space bar. And now I have this face here. Let me turn off my knife tool. I'm going to extrude this down. That's going to sort of be a post. And I'm going to lift this up a bit just so I have a little more room. I'm going to make this one a slight bit fancier. Down on this bottom post, I'm going to go to Edge and Subdivide. And then I'm going to go to Edge, Mesh, Transform, and to Sphere. And again, that's going to let me round that out. And I'll extrude that a little bit more, right around here. And I could stop here, but I'm actually going to make this a little more unicycle-ish. So I'm going to extrude these two. I'm going to look at it from the side here and pull that out a little bit. And then I want to do that to the other side. I am looking at this from front angles just so I can try to keep this symmetrical. It won't be perfect, but I can make it close. And now I'll select both sides, extrude some more, scale on X, extrude some more, and I'll go down. And that'll be my unicycle. I'll press tab here to go out of object mode, and then I'll just line this up. And that will be our model for this. And then you can watch the video to finish the rest off.